man. You gotta beat the man.
Shadows sleeping in the dead of night. I light the match, they feel my fight. Street light flicker like a war zone flare. They see me rise, but they won't dare. So many cracks under my stride. Whispers chase me, they collide. Gun dreams heavy like gold chains. Every sorrow that screams my name. Be legendary, feel the fire in your chest. No second guessing, this is your test. Be legendary, break the cage.
That's right. We are all about being legendary here on this podcast. Welcome to episode 3 of the Hoosier Legends Weekly Podcast. I am Justin Spears, joined as always by Mr. Mike Walden. Mike, how are you on this fine evening?
I'm doing wonderful, Justin. How are you doing, bud?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. A busy week, a busy weekend. We are fully in the throes of the fall season here with all of our sports up and running, soccer, football, tennis, volleyball, you name it. We got it going now. We're starting to see some conference play trickle in, and that's what we're really all about here on this podcast, is to help, again, promote and spread the word of the great things that are going on in this Hoosier Legends Conference. And so, we continue to try to get growth with the program, and we want to thank those who have continued to show support to us. And you can help us grow with a like, share, or comment. We get more athletic departments that are jumping on board on the X account. We're seeing, results on the YouTube feed and on our Spotify channel. So thank you to those who are listening and sharing the podcast. And again, it's our hope that we get all member schools on board and we get community members in each of those districts to join in and feed us some content, give us some feedback, tune in, listen, and again, just really all about celebrating the great things that are going on in the Hoosier Legends Conference. You can follow us on X, right? So we've talked a little bit about that before. You can reach us if you're looking for us on our Gmail account. It's Hoosier Legends Podcast, and I got that updated this week. I had a little bit of a typo last week on that. So that is our email address. We can check us out over there. You can get us on the YouTube channel at Hoosier Legends Podcast. And then, as I mentioned, the Spotify channel as well, Hoosier Legends Weekly Podcast. So again, any kind of like, share, comment, all that stuff, following us on X, it all helps to promote the show. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into our content. Does that sound good, Mike?
Yeah, I love it. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to start as we did last week with our Legendary Performance Spotlight. Last week, we gave a shout out to some dual sport athletes who are running cross country and soccer. This week, we turn our attention to the very first Hoosier Legends Conference Championship that took place this past week, Tuesday, at Sarah Shank Golf Course on the south side. We had our first Hoosier Legends Conference champion crowned with the Tri-West Bruin girls coming away victorious with a team score of 398. They were able to land 2 girls on the first conference team. They wwere followed up by Indian Creek, Triton Central, Monrovia Speedway, and Beech Grove. We do want to give a shout out to Kennedy Hall, I believe of Indian Creek. I can't remember, Indian Creek or Triton Central, coming in at an 85 as an individual champion. Triton Central. I was looking through my notes here. 85 from Kennedy Hall. So kudos to her. That was, I believe, the only sub a 90 round for the day. So, congratulations there. That can be a tough course. It's not super long, but it's demanding. You got to be accurate out there. So again, Tri-West girls landing 2 on the all-conference team. No, it's great. Hallie Phillips was low for us with a 90. And so, all good stuff there. So congratulations to the girls there for winning the conference championship. Any thoughts on that, Mike, before we move on?
No, it's an amazing team win, right? First ever conference championship in girls golf for Tri-West. Way to go. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool. And we hope to bring more updates on conference championships as they emerge. As I mentioned earlier, we are starting to see some conference play kick in. So I know we'll be getting, here pretty soon to being able to kind of see how regular season records shake out and again, be able to spotlight more legendary performances there. So again, shout out to the Tri-West girls for that. All right, let's transition now into the part of the show where we go through and discuss our individual performances from various schools and their programs. So up first, we have the Beech Grove Hornets.
Yeah, congratulations to the girls flag football team from Beech Grove. I know they won last week and they're 1-0, and they're about to play Roncalli tonight at 7 p.m. I think it's just amazing that we have girls out there who are going out there and trying something new. Right now it's flag football. And I think Beech Grove is the only school in our conference that has a flag football program. So let's talk to all the ADs out there and see if we can't get more ladies out there playing flag football. It's a great sport. Also, in golf for Beech Grove, they finished 6th in the inaugural HLC Conference Championship, as you talked about earlier. Boys soccer, unfortunately, they did drop their match against Lutheran over the weekend. They will be playing Indiana Math and Science Academy next Tuesday, so we're rooting for them. Get that win over those math and science kids, right? Girls golf really came down to the wire, ended up losing to Crispus Attucks 3-2. Harper Moore, though, did score both of those goals for Beech Grove, so congratulations to Harper. I know she's been playing really well this season. She's going to be one to watch out for an all-conference player for sure. Beech Grove's boys tennis lost to Tri-West 0-5 over the weekend. They do play a lot of matches coming up against Southport, then Cecina, and Thursday against Greenwood. So a lot of more tennis for them to be playing. And for volleyball, Beech Grove did lose to conference rival Triton Central and Tri-West over this past week, but they look to bounce back against Atticus tonight.
Yep, and we move on to Indian Creek. So we start with golf. The girls golf team finished as runners-up at the HLC Conference Championship. And again, congratulations to Shelby Roach and Ellie Smith from Indian Creek for making all conference. On the boys soccer side, they dropped a match to Shelbyville 3-1 last Thursday and 6-2 to Conference Foe Speedway on Saturday. And they are taking on Triton Central tonight. We are awaiting the result from that. If we get that before the end of the show, we will update that, but it'll probably be on next episode. Girls soccer won a Hoosier Legends Conference thriller against Speedway in a shootout. Was trying to read through some of the notes on this game. It looks like it ended in a 2-2 tie after 80 minutes and remained that way through 2 overtime periods. Looked like it went to PKs where the Braves got the win there. And then they turned around and they won 1-0 against Cascade. So great work, ladies. That's some perseverance to be able to push through and get those 2 wins. So kudos to you guys. Boys tennis defeated Speedway 5-0 last week and swept Edinburgh 5-0 on senior night last weekend. And they will take on Tri-West this Saturday. So congratulations to Indian Creek boys tennis. A little bit of a roll there. And then volleyball, they had a busy week. They defeated Greenwood 3-2 last Thursday. Before they dropped a match to Greencastle 0-2 over the weekend, but then bounced back to beat Shelbyville 3-0 on Tuesday. And they will be taking on conference opponent Monrovia tomorrow night. So a lot of good stuff happening down in Trafalgar with the Braves. And so that'll take us over to Monrovia.
Yeah, Monrovia had one heck of a weekend with the girls cross-country team. They ended up winning the Riverton Park Invitational. Congrats to Zoe Walls for her third-place finish. And the boys, Colton Smith finished second, and Jacob Williamson finished ninth. So it's nice to see some cross-country out there from Monrovia doing a great job. Congratulations to them. In girls golf, they ended up finishing fourth place, as we mentioned earlier, in the HLC Conference Championship. We also want to give a shout-out to Avery Wolf, who placed third overall with a score of 92. So congratulations to her. The boys soccer did lose to Tri-West on Thursday, and Brown County on Saturday. They look to be struggling a little bit this year, but they're a young team. They're looking to bounce back. And I think looks like they're going to be playing Indiana Math and Science here on Thursday, so hopefully they can get a win there. The girls soccer ran their record to 3-2 with a win over Cascade. And when I say a win over Cascade, I mean an absolute slacking of Cascade, 10-1. So it's always nice to beat Cascade. I don't care who you are. And then they beat Greencastle 7-3 as well. Nellie Stanford, I'm assuming it's part of the Stanford crew that grew up in Monrovia. Anybody our age knows how the Stanford boys were then, so I'm assuming this is the daughter or niece of one of them. Nellie ended up having 4 goals, so congratulations to her with that hat trick plus 1. Also, we had 5 different Bulldogs scored on the night as well, so girls soccer from Monrovia is looking up and up, and it's like they're continuing to just get better and better. When we look at their volleyball team, they ended up dropping 2 matches this past weekend, one to Martinsville and one to the Evil team in southern Hendricks County. We won't talk about them. But they do look like they're going to be taking on Eminence on Wednesday.
Yeah. And again, if we get any scores, we will be sure to pass those along either on here or through our X account. Over to Speedway, West Side. Fall weather made a visit to Marion County over the weekend, but the cross-country team was warm. Almost everyone ran PRs and and individual bests, with Morgan Smith leading that effort by finishing an all-county 8th and breaking her own school record of 19:30. So congratulations, Morgan, on a really nice run there at the Marion County Championship on Saturday. Golf, as we mentioned, girls golf came in 5th at the conference. They're back in action in a 3-way match with Covenant Christian and Indianapolis North Central tonight at the Brickyard. Boys soccer, they defeated Indian Creek 6-2 on Saturday and finished in a 2-2 draw against Lebanon. Their record now sits at 3-1-1 on the season, and they will face conference opponent Triton Central tomorrow night. Girls soccer, they lost a tough one to Shelbyville 10-2 on Saturday and then lost to Lawrence Central Tuesday 3-0. They have a conference match against Tri-West tomorrow. And then finally, volleyball got their first win of the season on Saturday against Union, winning 3-1 before dropping a match 3-0 to Tri-West. And they were taking on Covenant Christian this evening. So that'll take us on over to the Bruins.
Yeah, our home school Tri-West, pretty active week this week. The girls golf team defeated Pike High School last week with a score of 181. Hallie Phillips medaled during that, and Ava Donald got a personal best 41. And we already talked about them winning the HLC, so that's an amazing job. Both girls did make the all-HLC team. Boys soccer had a big night against Monrovia last Thursday, winning 9-0. The Bruins then dropped a heartbreaker to that stupid team down south in Hendricks County. If you guys didn't know, our biggest rival is a school in Hendricks County that's just south of us on 39. We don't like to talk about them, so there's that. The girls soccer had 2 big wins to push the record to 3-2 with back-to-back 6-0 shutouts wins over Greenwood and Western Boone. Clean sheets in both games from Allie Miller. In the Greenwood match, freshman Caden Steffi scored 3 goals, and sophomore Jordan Peters netted 2 goals. In the Western Boone match, Steffi and Peters both scored 2 goals, with Ella Smith and Genevieve Tooley each scored once. The Lady Bruins are on the road against Speedway Thursday night, so that's tomorrow. I think it's going to be a tough battle for our Bruins. Like I said, the Plugs, they're doing good. We'll see what happens. Boys tennis. The boys tennis team moved to 3-5 after picking up a 5-0 win over conference opponent Beech Grove. Eric Dean was the player of the match as won singles, winning 6-0, 6-0. The boys will be back in action against Western Boone tonight. And then we have a coach's spotlight here. Do you want to talk about our tennis coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I had a chance to talk with Coach Walkie the other morning and kind of catching up with him a little bit on how the season's going. And he said, yeah, we're 3-5 and we could be 5-3. And, just really kind of kept talking about this concept of trying to develop a winning culture. And so I know, and we had an opportunity to speak to him before the season and get some thoughts from him on, building out this new program, because it still is in its infancy stages. It was second full year now, I believe, for the boys. And so, it's one of those things where you're trying to attract talent to play, and then you're trying to learn how to compete, and then you got to learn how to win, right? It's kind of like that crawl before you walk type of thing. And so just kind of picking his brain, we asked him, how, for example, like, how do you keep a team motivated through ups and downs? And, he just kind of said that during the end of practice, meetings, they always address the idea that the mindset matters, and to discuss some kind of a quote or saying that shows that. And then, the coaching staff tries to tell them that, there's always two things that you can control, and that's your attitude and your effort. And so, if you give 100% and you stay positive, then good things are going to happen. And so, when you're going through those growing pains early on, those things you just kind of keep leaning into as a coach. And, he talked about trying to build traditions and routines, and, talking about just building a program where the kids want to be around each other and, go out and have meals together and enjoy some friendship. And, that team bonding that happens, it's so important, when you get in the throes of a season and you're trying to gut out wins and you got guys pulling for you. I know he's oftentimes shared images and videos of, guys at the fence row watching that last match of the night, and knowing that you got those guys pulling. That's so important in terms of building that winning mindset. And then, just kind of some of the other stuff that a lot of coaches strive for, understanding that you're building more than just players on the court or field or what have you, but you're building, student athletes, right? So they do things like weekly grade checks, and they hold each other accountable, and they try to make sure that they're out getting support in the community, right? All that stuff goes into building a winning program. And so Coach Walkie, while you can always as a coach look at your record and do the woulda, coulda, shoulda, we know that he's doing things the right way, and we know that he's instilling into the young men and women, because he coaches the girls team as well, that building that winning tradition. And you see it in the numbers. You constantly talk to him, and he talks about how many kids are coming out from elementary camps to junior high program that's being built. So kudos to Coach Walkie. And I know it's not always about that wins-loss number on the sheet at the end of the day, but the kind of young men and women you're producing. So we just want to give a shout out there for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like you said, it's only the second season that we've had. Last season, we won one match, and now, we've already won 3. So he's doing great things with that program, and it's pretty awesome to listen to him talk and see how much passion that he has for the sport. So it's great. Talking to him and talking to our scene, the Triton Central's coach kind of mentioned this as well. If you want to support these guys and all the hard work they're doing, just show up. The kids will love it. Right now, for most tennis matches, it's mom and dad's, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and show some love to our tennis players, our cross-country guys, cross-country, tennis, and golf, and make sure that we're out there and we're supporting them and showing them all the love that we can for those guys, because they're some of the hardest working kids out there.
Absolutely.
But to finish up with Tri-West, we're going to go to volleyball here. The Lady Bruins are on a roll after they dropped their match against McCutcheon. They've gone 3-0, picking up wins over Lebanon, Beech Grove, and Speedway. The girls are playing tomorrow night at home against County foe Plainfield. Plainfield's always tough. I know we have Caroline Ward, who was named one of the top players in Indiana, and so does Plainfield. They have a really, really good player as well. So matchup of all-stars tomorrow night at Tri-West versus Plainfield.
Yeah, that ought to be a really good match. All right, moving on to Triton Central. Girls, again, finished third in golf at the HLC Conference Championship. Kennedy Hall, as I mentioned earlier, was individual medalist at 85. while Lindsay Huxford made all-conference first team with a 102. So congratulations to both of those girls on their performances there. Boys soccer, they dropped a heartbreaker to Southwestern last week, 1-0. They are back in action tonight against conference rival Indian Creek. Girls soccer, the Lady Tigers have been off since last Monday when they defeated Beech Grove 8-0. They were victorious over tonight, Rushville 9-0. They got goals from Pruitt, who scored 2, Walker, McKee, Burnett, Kegley, and Salazar. So well-balanced attack from the Triton Central Lady Tigers tonight. And shout out to their goalkeeper, Allen, who notched her 4th clean sheet of the season. Up next for them, Monday, they are at Perry Meridian with JV starting at 5:30 and varsity starting at 7. On the boys tennis side, they defeated Franklin Community 3-2. Led by their number 1 singles, Jansen Caps, who won 6-3, 6-1. And then they also got wins at 2 singles and 3 singles with Braden Hoover at 2 singles and Braden Robinson at 3 singles. So congratulations to them. They moved to 5-2 on the season as a team. And then finally, the Lady Tigers on the volleyball court are on a roll, winning 3 in a row and 5 out of their last 6. This past week, they went 2-0 at the Hagerstown Invite, defeating Richmond 2 sets and sneaking by Hagerstown 2-1. Last night, they swept County foe Southwestern 3-0, and they are back in action tomorrow night against Trinity Lutheran. So congratulations, ladies. Keep up the great work. I posted something earlier, Mike, on X that the girls soccer programs in this conference seem to be very strong. I noticed that when I was going through and reviewing scores and recaps, that there's a lot of good stuff happening specifically on the girls soccer side. So it's good to see. That ought to make for some really intriguing matchups as we get deeper and deeper into conference play. But that leads us now to turn our attention to the gridiron. So, Mike, why don't you kind of take us through what was another successful week for the HLC teams on Friday night?
Yeah, so on the 29th, right, so last Friday, Beech Grove, which I think is the story of the year so far, right? I mean, we're 2 weeks in, but so far, Beech Grove is the story. They're 2-0, and they beat Jennings County 44-0. So, I mean, I did not expect Beech Grove to be what they're doing right now. You know what I mean? Very proud of those young men out there climbing and playing hard football. Then we look at Indian Creek, 29-10 over Greenwood, and that is a huge win for Indian Creek. I kind of reviewed it. I don't really remember, but I think they've only beat them once or maybe twice out of the last 10 years. Greenwood has just been like this dominating force for them, and for them to come out, play really great defense. I know Jackson Ramey had a long 53-yard touchdown, I believe, and then he had a punt return for a touchdown. So congratulations to Indian Creek for getting that win over county rival Greenwood. Monrovia did fall to Linton Stockton, 34-19. Speedway fell to Northview. Triton Central picked up the win against Hamilton Heights, 28-13, and Tri-West had a big win against Verbuff, 47-29. So to review of how we're doing so far, Beech Grove, Indian Creek, Tri-West, and Triton Central are all 2-0, and then Monrovia and Speedway had a rough start to the season, and they're 0-2. To give a little stat rundown, we'll talk about most throwing yards for our quarterbacks. Number 1 in the conference right now is Jack Sorgi with 608 yards. Bishop Moore with Beech Grove is 444 yards. Matthew Wilkins at Triton Central has thrown for 348 yards. When we're looking at the top running backs in the conference right now, Carson Parks from Beech Grove has 270 yards. From Indian Creek, we have Drew Pingleton has ran for 220 yards, and Braden Brown from Triton Central has 164 yards, being number 3 in our conference. going to wide receivers and who's done the best there so far. Carter Cummings from Tri-West has had 256 yards. Then Woods from Beech Grove, 242 yards. And then Zeke Robertson from Triton Central, 222 yards. Those are your top 3 wide receivers. Looking at total touchdowns, I think we can just stop at Karen Parks, for Beech Grove. 7 touchdowns. The next closest is 3. There's about a handful of them. But it looks like Mr. Parks is absolutely destroying the gridiron right now with 7 touchdowns. And then we're looking at total tackles. So now we're on the defensive side of things. Franklin Wilbrenner, he's a middle linebacker for Beech Grove, has 27 tackles. Gage Tolan from Monrovia, 23 tackles. And then Abe Haste from Tri-West with 22 tackles. He's actually tied with Peyton Hall from Monrovia with 22 tackles as well. And then sack leaders, we have Gabe Miller from Tri-West with 2.5 sacks, Jet Lawson from Tri-West with 2 sacks, and Nate Chapman from Speedway with 2 sacks. So that runs out our top 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff across the board. A lot of great numbers being put up, and I'm sure we're going to see those numbers kind of balance out. One of the things that you mentioned, Mike, is, Monrovian Speedway. And, I look at both of those teams and it's scheduling. I mean, you can't help it, right? It just happens to be what it is. And you're not trying to make excuses or anything like that. But those are both really 2 tough opponents for them opening week for both programs. And so, you really get to see the test of a team on both ends, really. When you start out 2-0, you don't want to get too high. When you start out 0-2, you don't want to get too low. So it's really going to be interesting to see as we progress in weeks 3, 4, and 5, how these teams all respond. Obviously, we're going to see some attrition with conference play kicking in this week already. So I'm really excited to kind of see what happens in the coming weeks. So that will lead us into our conference previews. Do you want to start us off with our first matchup for the week?
Yeah, yes, sir. So first matchup we're looking at is Covenant Christian at Indian Creek. Covenant Christian is coming in with 1-1 record. As we stated earlier, Indian Creek is 2-0. This is Covenant Christian's head coach's first year at coaching, whereas Indian Creek, this is his second year, and he's doing a very good job for his second year. Let's see here. This is the first time in the last 40 years Covenant Christian and Indian Creek have played, so this is going to be one for the ages, right? John Harrell has this game 38-7, Indian Creek. I think John Harrell is onto something here. And I'm going to say the score is going to be 49-0. I think Indian Creek is not going to let up a touchdown, and they're just going to dominate this game from start to finish.
Yeah, I see this one kind of one-sided here as well. I think that Indian Creek can control the clock, score at will. I'm with you. I probably see something like it's hard to tell, you start getting into the second quarter or second half and you get maybe some JV guys in, maybe Covenant does sneak a touchdown in, but I say 44-7. All right. So that will take us to Cecina, Indianapolis Cecina at Beech Grove. Cecina comes in at 2-0. Beech Grove comes in at 2-0. This looks like on paper what is going to be a really good matchup. When you look at how both teams have performed this season, this is going to be probably some fireworks in this game. I think you're going to see high-powered offenses, throwing and running all over the field. Cecina has a pedigree. They're always really, really tough program. Beech Grove obviously kind of hot, to start the season right now. Harrell sees this one as a very close contest at 38-35. I see it that way too, although I kind of give a little bit more of an advantage to Beech Grove. It's at Beech Grove. You're still riding high off some momentum. I'm going to go Beech Grove 28, Cecina 20.
I like that. I don't think Cecina is going to be able to handle what Beech Grove is going to throw at them, right? I talked about earlier how Beech Grove has one of the best running backs in the conference. I think Bishop Moore is still on fire against Cecina, and I don't think they're going to be prepared for that. So, yeah, I'm going 35-14. I don't think it's going to be that close, but Beech Grove definitely with the win today, or Friday. Now we're going down to Monrovia. Monrovia is taking on Kokomo, who is 0-2. This is a 7 p.m. game at Hadley Field. This is the first year for Coach Small at Kokomo. Struggling right now, 0-2, probably getting, the kids to buy in, the kids to understand everything that he's trying to throw at them. It's always tough to be a first-year coach. Kokomo is a awfully big school. I don't know here, man. This can be a toss-up. John Harrell's predicting a 35-34 win for Kokomo. Man, but Monrovia's really been struggling, So I want the Bulldogs to win. I'm rooting for them, but I think Kokomo's going to come out with a win here, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 35-14 game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those classic things when you look on paper. Like you said, Kokomo's a 5A program. Monrovia is a 2A program. Is that size really going to show up on the field, right? Depth, is another part to that. Kokomo, obviously, on some of the other sports, particularly basketball, has had some athletic talent up there. But again, there's also then a little bit of that kind of like, there's that pedigree of Monrovia being a winning program. And like you alluded to, Kokomo, they're trying to figure it out, maybe learning how to win type of thing. And that means a lot, right? When you execute on the field, there's that whole saying, look like Tarzan, play like Jane. And if you go out and you don't execute, doesn't matter how big you are, how athletic you are, execution means a lot. I'm kind of torn like you a little bit, but you know what? I'm going to pull for the Bulldogs in this one. I'm going to say they actually knock off Kokomo. I'm going to go 21-17 with Monrovia getting the win. I think they can get it done. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. All right.
You're right, man.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I hope they can pull it off.
Yeah. We'll see. David versus Goliath. All right. Moving to the west side. Lawrenceburg from out southeast, just over by the Cincinnati area. Lawrenceburg comes in at 1-1. Speedway comes in at 0-2. Mike, I'm going to pause here for this. This is some crazy matchups. I mean, we're pulling from some places on these matchups here. It's kind of interesting to see how maybe ADs are trying to put their schedules together with so much conference realignment and open spots in their schedule and everything. So Lawrenceburg's coming all the way. It's about a 2-hour drive, I would imagine, from down there up to Speedway at Speedway Sparkplug Field. Lawrenceburg comes in again at 1-1. Speedway at 0-2. Lawrenceburg is ranked 13th in 3A. Speedway's coming in showing at 48th. We don't really know a ton about Lawrenceburg. Their one win was against a school out of Ohio last week against Taylor, 41-13. Harrell sees this as pretty one-sided for the Tigers of Lawrenceburg to come away. He's got it at 42-14. I got to imagine, again, there's some talent down there. There's some athleticism. They probably will squeak one by, although I think it's probably going to be a little bit closer. I think Speedway is going to be hungry. I think they're going to be, kind of upset and angry about the 0-2 start, and they're going to be hungry to try to get a win. I'm going to go Lawrenceburg 35, Speedway 32.
Yeah, it's interesting how you put like when you look at all of our conference opponents this week and how they're far away and what the athletic directors have to do to fill out a schedule. I think you hit it on the head when you're just saying it's the whole conference realignment. Only having 6 teams in our conference, kind of going out there searching. Next year, some of this will be changed, obviously, with adding Greenwood and Shelbyville into the mix. But when we do look at this Lawrenceburg Speedway game, I think John Harrell probably hit it on the head with this 42-14. I'm going to go ahead and go 42-7. I just don't think Speedway's clicking right now. I hope they do. Rooting for, the legends here, but man, Lawrenceburg has just been on a tear lately in 3A football. Their head coach is in his 15th year. He's 131-43. He knows how to coach. He knows how to do it. And with Speedway losing to Northview last week, 49-0, I think it's probably gonna be the same. I think Lawrenceburg 42-0, 42-7, somewhere around there. I hope I'm wrong. Hope the Plugs pull it out, but this looks pretty one-sided to me.
All right, and that takes us to our other matchup of undefeateds. We got Beech Grove and Indianapolis-Scecina, and out our way, Mike, we welcome in conference rival Triton Central in the what are we dubbing this? The Battle of I-74? Is that what it is?
Man, this is Battle of I-74. We're battling for the street sign of 74, right? Our athletic director created this really cool street sign. If you guys go to the game on Friday, you'll see it. It's got the 74 interstate sign there. One side's Tri-West, one side's Triton Central. It's gonna be a great game. I think it's going to be our next big rival is going to be Triton Central. I think it's really neat, as Scott Knapp, our athletic director, was telling me, that just like Tri-West did, right, Triton Central took 3 schools and consolidated to 1 school, right? So Triton Central used to be 3 high schools, now 1. Tri-West, we had 3 high schools, come down to 1. Triton Central's football field is right off 74. Tri-West football field is like a half a mile away from 74, just on the west side of Indiana, and Triton Central obviously on the east side, southeast side of Indiana. Very similar schools competing for the street sign, the Battle of I-74, who are the true kings of Interstate 74. It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so as well. And we'll probably have that nice little sign placed on top of a construction barrel just to top it all off and everything, right? So
Yeah,
no, in all honesty, it is a really cool thing. I love it when this kind of thing can be created. It just creates a little bit of a sense of a rivalry, kind of something, bragging rights and legacy type things are always really cool to be able to see that. So I do hope, like what you said, that this is a little bit of beginning of a rivalry and legacy that can be built. I know talking to a couple of our football players this week, I think Coach Ward has said that, since he's gotten the head coach gig at Tri-West, he's always wanted to play Triton Central. I think he kind of looks to Coach Abel, somebody who's well established out at Triton Central, huge winning record of 112-40, and overall in his career, 32 years, 237 and 138. That's a lot of wins posted up there. Coach Ward's just kind of getting things going here in his own right. And so I'm sure there's kind of a little bit of that mentor-mentee type thing there. Although I think when we look at this one and we get down to brass tacks on the field, I think that the Bruins probably have a little bit more of an edge here coming into this game. Although, we said that about Triton Central going out to Batesville to start the season, and they gutted out a win there, 11-10. So you cannot overlook this team. You can't take them lightly. You can't rest on the win last week against, a Brebeuf team that was a little banged up. You just got to go out and take care of business. You have to execute, right? As we said in the previous game with Kokomo and Monrovia, it's about execution. So I think our boys can go out there and do that and get that done this week. Being at home, this is our home opener. There's going to be a lot of buzz there as well. So I see the Bruins pulling this one off. Harold's got it 28-21. I'm going to go 35-14 Bruins.
Good job. You took my score from me, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. I'm going to go super, super homer on this one. I'm going 42-7. 42-7 Bruins. And I'm pretty sure that won't happen, but that's what I'm rooting for. I think what Tri-West really has to watch out for is going to be the battle in the trenches. I think this game is going to be won on whose offensive line can stop the defensive line from the other team. Both are incredible. This quarterback they have, quarterback Matthew Wilkins, he's thrown 61% of the year. That's probably one of the top in the conference when it comes to accuracy. Man, I watched some film on that kid, and that kid can scramble around. He avoids pressure. And the best thing I saw is that his wide receivers are always looking to find that open pocket for him to throw into. You talked about Zeke Robertson. He has 15 catches for 222 yards. That one touchdown, man, I bet you that was like a 70-yarder. He just, it was like one of those jet sweeps tossed to him, and he just outran everybody at Hamilton Heights. He is really, really fast, and Tri-West has got to be able to stop him from going to end around, or he's going to cause trouble all night long. As we kind of talked about before with Braden Brown, the dude's 6'2", 200 pounds, and he is fast. When he sees that hole and he hits that hole hard, there's no stopping that kid. That is like an 8 yards every time he touches the ball. So our defensive line has got to get some contact, got to get some push on their offensive line to slow him down, or he's going to run for over 100 yards against us. And then, their offensive line, it looks like they're averaging, somewhere between 230, 250 pounds per kid. So they're a big offensive line. Our defensive line is kind of on the smaller side in that range. It's going to be quickness versus the beef, and we're going to see who wins this game. But like I said before, I think Tri-West has it. I think, our linebacking core, by Nick Bierman and Abe Haste, they're going to have something for Brown every time he comes in there. They're going to lay the wood on him. He's going to start to feel it. I think Gabe Miller is too fast and too quick for their offensive line. I think he's going to be harassing Wilkins all night long. I can see Gabe coming out here with 2 sacks, maybe even 3. And Zeke might just, we might just have to let him have a couple touchdowns on his own, because I don't know if we can handle his speed. But, we have Jax Garber on our side, and Jax Garber is one of the quickest dudes out there. So it's going to be a Zeke versus Jax sprint contest, I think, out there, you know what I mean? And then we have Carter Cummings. Carter Cummings had an absolute night against Burbuff. How many, did he have 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns? Do you remember, Coach?
I believe it was 2. I think it was 137 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and it very easily could have been 3, and the one thing that I know that we hit on a lot when it comes to Tri-West football, it's hard not to talk about Jack Sorgi, but I don't know if Triton Central is prepared for Jack's feet. Yes, I said Jack's feet, right? We know that he is a Peyton Manning type S quarterback, 3 to 5 step drop in the pocket, hit a guy, right? But I've seen him escape that pocket and run, and he is super fast compared to what I think people are expecting, right? I don't think they're expecting him to be that fast. So he might be our secret weapon, is getting rushed, by Triton Central's defense, and him just sprinting off and getting like a 60-yard touchdown run. Watch that happening in the first quarter.
Yeah. It ought to be a really intriguing matchup, and one of the big, obviously opening conference battles of the season as well. 2 undefeateds, one will be no longer. So that's going to be a really, really intriguing matchup. Before we start to wrap up the program tonight, I was able to find a couple of results from some of the things that we mentioned that were going on this evening around the conference. So from Triton Central's athletic program, boys tennis dropped their match to Greenfield Central 4-1. So they lost to Greenfield Central this evening. But Monrovia girls golf was able to defeat Cloverdale and Greencastle in a 3-way tonight. And again, Avery Wolf, congratulations, coming in at low medalist with a 46. And they are back in action tomorrow at Deer Creek at 5 p.m. That's something that we ought to talk about too at some point, Mike. Deer Creek is a golf course located just north of 70 before you get into Clayton, and just north of Monrovia. They host 3 local schools, Plainfield, Monrovia, and Cascade for golf, both boys and girls. And they are apparently going to turn that into a gigantic country club. And so that's going to really shake things up, because I don't know that any of those teams are going to be able to continue to play there. And so that's going to put a big strain on some local golf courses that are already struggling to adapt, to allowing multiple teams to be able to play. Obviously, golf courses are open for business, and so it's schools do pay to play on these courses, but it's a fraction of what they would get on the open market for a round of golf. So at some point, we'll talk about that in greater detail and how that might shake up the golf scene. Obviously, that's something that's a little bit near and dear to my heart, being a boys golf coach. But I did get those two results that I saw come through on X tonight, and I wanted to make sure that I got those out before we wrapped up. Before we go, is there anything else that you think is noteworthy or that we missed tonight?
I say the one noteworthy thing that I think a lot of parents are dealing with, if they're listening to this, it's kind of near and dear to my heart right now, is sports injuries. For those who don't know, like last year, my son, my oldest son, was a senior. First game of the season, he had an AC joint injury that took him out all the way until like week 7 or 8 of the regular season, and he still wasn't fully healthy until sectionals. And then second game of sectionals against Cascade, he tore his ACL, out for the rest of his season. So for him, his senior year, he really only got to play maybe 2 or 3 games that were truly like, back to playing football. And then now, my sophomore son, he looked like he was going to be starting both ways for Tri-West this year at slot receiver and safety. We just found out today, he got hurt in Western Boone, and we found out today that he has to have surgery, and now he's going to be out for the entire season. So I know there's a lot of parents out there who are dealing with sports injuries, and there's a lot of fans out there who just watch a kid and play and don't realize, how banged up they can be no matter what sport they're playing. And so, shout out to all the moms and dads out there. Shout out to all the athletic trainers, the doctors who are taking care of our athletes. We're here at Tri-West. We're supported by Hendricks Regional Health. They've done a great job with us, and we want to say thank you for that. So, if that's the type of person you are, keep prayers for all these athletes for the rest of the season, that, they're healthy, and kind of look out for the mom and dads too, right? They're hurting when they see their babies out there getting hurt, so just keep that in the back of your minds, right? Always look out for the kids and their parents. So.
Yeah, and on that note, Mike and I, both being educators, we're in the building with these kids, and we also know too the mental toll that being a student athlete can take on these young men and women, with sometimes overburdened expectations, pressures from teammates, from family members, coaches. In this day and age, there's a lot more that our young men and women are exposed to than, maybe like when we were growing up, Mike. We didn't have the message boards. We didn't have the social media. There really wasn't a lot of that, right, going on. And so, I think it says a lot for these young men and women. We always throw that, student athlete moniker out there, and it does mean something. And, I think we see that across the board, at least here in the state of Indiana, when we look at academic all conference teams and things of that nature. There's just a lot of pressures that are put on these kids. So we see you guys. We recognize the effort and intensity, the sacrifice that you make in to doing what you do. So keep it up. You guys are doing great. We just really want to say to all of our HLC schools that we support you guys. I know when we do these predictions, sometimes we, especially if it's a matchup, with Tri-West or something, we're out there cheering for you guys. Honestly, we really are. We want to see all of these schools do great things. And I cannot say enough about the support that we have gotten. We've seen athletic departments starting to tag us on things in social media, more people following us. The word is starting to spread. So again, as I said at the top of the show here, the more that you can spread the word with a like, a follow, a comment. All that stuff helps push us up on social media and for our program to become more widely known. And we appreciate, again, anything you can give to us. If you think and you're listening to this, man, I really wish they would talk more about fill in the blank. We would love to, I promise you. Sometimes finding this stuff is really, really difficult. We've got to source maybe 2 or 3 different places, even, in this day and age, to be able to find accurate, up-to-date information. So if you've got something that you're an insider to, that you can send over to us. If you want us to put huddle clips up, if you took images or video on the sideline, shoot it over to us. We'll throw it up on our X account. We'll put it up on the program. We have the ability to play video clips here on the show. We can certainly embed that and do that as well. So again, want to thank you guys for all of that. All right, Mike, before we close out, any other last words? All good?
Nope. Appreciate everybody. Thank you. Be legends.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very good. All right, well, that will do it for another great episode of the Hoosier Legends Weekly Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. We will be back with you again next week for another exciting episode.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man.